Hi everyone. I had a question how to do turbo roundabout. So in this video, I'm going to attempt building a model for it. This one in the example is quite a representative one, I think. So this is in the Netherlands, but I think in the States they adopted the same idea or the very similar designs. So wherever you are, the principle should be the same. So basically what it does, a turbo roundabout, is it separates out movement, so it gives a bit more capacity to roundabout by separating the lanes out and the movements, and also improve safety by removing some conflicts and stuff. So the idea is that when you are in a lane, you need to get into lane before you get into the roundabout, so you can't really change lanes after. So if you want to go right or straight, you need to be in this lane. So you can't really go right from the far side lane, because from here you can only go here. And in most of the cases, this is not paint, but more like a physical barrier, yeah, that you are not supposed to go over. So you go in there, you either go straight or you go to the left, or you can also go around and U-turn. But from here again, it just takes you out there. But what it does, it removes the conflict, like, so this vehicle from the far side lane can't go out there, what unfortunately happens in many normal ones, and so accident happens. So let's get started. So what I do, I just get the link and start putting it together. So the way I will do it is I have a 2-lane link here, because after that you are not supposed to change lanes, and I think there is also a physical barrier between the 2 lanes. Yeah, so I just put one here, have a single lane here, I just put it there. It depends if you do static or dynamic. If you do static, you can put another connector like that. If you don't, you probably wouldn't. I think it's perfectly fine like that. Maybe a little bit more upstream, so like that. And then we have 2 lanes. I'm not going to waste a great deal of time on making it the curves and everything very accurate. I don't want to waste your time. So just, but I also don't want to speed things up, so at least you can see the basics, or you may find something useful. So yeah, I just connect these 2 lanes, and now, so the now how to deal with it is, well, you can also always create a circle or link like that. Okay, it's probably better if we do it like that. So you can just use this and then just cut out what you don't need. And so what we can do is we can just do this, okay it, and we just split it. Uh, we can just split it there, and we can delete that. And you can just move this up till here. Just let add some curvature to it, like that. And now we can also move this a little bit back here. We can also add maybe another circle from here, like that. We can cut it here. Well, it is not ideal, but it's fine. And we can just cut it here. I just delete it. We will do the other one later. And we can just basically do this. The way I would prefer it is if you don't have two connectors overlapping. So when this is when you have a link instead of a connector, that will work better if you use conflict areas for Vissim to understand what is what. So if it is a connector, it knows that that is the minor. So it is a bit helpful. But we will use priorities probably. But I might split the video then into two to build that up after doing the connectors now and the network. Okay, so too much talking. So there we are. I add a circle link here. Uh, Something like this is fine. Don't need to be super accurate. I split it there. Just like that. Okay. And this one, we can just keep it as it is, maybe up until maybe this point. Let's split it there. We can just delete that. I just move it out. I can just remove a few points. We don't need to be that accurate now. Like that. Okay, it looks a bit horrible here. Like that. And we can just keep carry on and extending that maybe until that point where they can start merging. Like that. Okay. I just copy paste this and use it here. We can invert the direction, and probably that is the point where we can start it from. It's also a good practice if you duplicate your links, because you might set up your own driving behavior and link structure and everything, like the settings here, like what kind of behavior it has, maybe different display type and level, and when you duplicate it, it carries those changes. Because if you create a new one, okay, it's probably will pick up the last one, but you just never know. Okay, so here I am going to do, I split it, so here I can create a 2-lane link up to that point. Let's do that. Okay, and I just again, these diverges, there are people who likes to do them very accurately, but I just don't think that this stage is that important. So usually if two can be next to each other, I think just putting it like this is perfectly fine. I will show you maybe in another video what to consider if you want to do it, like, to perfectly fit that out, and allow for vehicles to actually see if they can fit next to each other or not. But you need to add other settings turned on, and that can eat up your processor resource. So it's okay. It's fine. It's more accurate, of course. Just probably most of the time, it is something you shouldn't be worried about too much. Okay, so let's just do these other links like this exit. Okay, and probably here we can start adding the 2-lane section. I am just going to split this. No, not like that. I'm going to split, not split. Yeah, 2. I just move this connector back. I just move that in. And now I just have a single, I invert it. Yeah, invert it and then it's fine. They can exit there. For the entry links, you always want to extend the entry links reasonably long because you want to capture any queue in occurring. For the exit link, it doesn't matter because vehicles exit without a constraint. Of course, if you have a constraint on the exit, you want to consider something there. I talked about this in the Jacksonville example, so have a look at that if you are interested in why and how to deal with it. I mentioned a few examples there. Okay, let's do the last bit. I just take this piece of link and I just, so we are going to leave this one out. See some local access. We are not going to model it, so just that probably has no impact at all. Yeah. Okay, and we are generating an opposite direction, moving it across there. This will be the exit link. And now let's go over the whole roundabout. And so I leave this quite long, but since it is a very tiny local access, I don't think there will be any queuing occurring on this one. Or maybe if there is, you can just make it long. So let's just go through and check the connector. So where you can go from here. So you can go, of course, to the left. So the shorter the connector, the easier it will be to set out the conflicts or the priorities. But you also want to have a connector to that one. But as you can see, it is too short. So I need to shuffle things around a bit, like rearrange it. Okay, so we can have a nice link, simple, like that. Yeah. Okay, and now we have something like this. Exit. So exit can only be from the curbside lane. Like that. Access. So from this lane, you only go to that one. From here, you go there. Exit. So let me just recreate the exit here as well. Like that. So let's connect these and then we can set up that one. So let's just put the exit connector We add 3 there, so it will create 3 intermediate points, so it will make it nicely curved. You can do it after as well if you do like this generate spline option. So now we extend it as long as 2 vehicles can be accommodated, and I just quickly create this single lane. So this is a bus lane. I am not going to model the buses now, but basically I can just show quickly how that could be. So what you would do in that case, you would have this connector here, like a connector like that, and the link, this will be the bus lane, this will be your stuff. So if you use static routing, obviously you would use this connector for all traffic, and you would move the PT lines onto this. If you use dynamic, then you just close this as an edge. You would put a little node over this here, and you just close this connector as an edge closure, and then it will be fine. So we are extending that to record any queuing, any potential queuing, and we just quickly do the link here. So I use the default link type. Okay. If you want to see ideas how to create more curves, look at the Jacksonville example again. That shows you all kinds of tips and tricks on these curves. Generate opposite direction. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I got used to the other side of driving. Okay. That's fine. So this will be our access. I just create now the opposite direction to exit. I can just cut this back here because it's an exit only, so we don't really care about it too much. Okay, so let's do the connectors. So from here, you can't exit. You can only exit from here. We can move that a little bit back. Recalculate it. And from here, so what you can do is you can go to the right, or like up on the opposite side. You can also go, as you see there is a gap, you can go like that. I move this a little bit back, and as before I just extend this a little bit back like that to help with the rules, the conflicts. Let me just double check that that movement is allowed. Yeah, so it is missing there, so you can do it. And okay, so here, from here you can only come up there, and from here you can only go there. That's fine. Exit from there. I think let's just switch up the background. I think we have it. Okay, so let's go on and do the conflicts. So I'm going to use priority rules, but first I just put down some speed reduction. On the approach, I just put 25, and I am just going to basically copy this for all approach. because you usually slow down to see if someone is coming. And also before you enter the roundabout, that's good practice. And I just place a couple of them in curves. So let's just keep those speeds low. I think 25 is reasonable. It's a relatively small one. But again, so it all depends on your situation. If in your area a vehicle drive faster or slower, you can just do that. Again, probably trucks drive slower, so I will change that from 25. So you can do that very easily. If you show the list with Control A, you select all. With Control A, you select all. You just need to make sure you are click here. And here, desired speed distribution 20. 20 is HGV. So I just put 20 here. So trucks will drive 5 km/h slower. All right, let me just save it before I lose it. Yeah, priority rules. You can try conflict as well if you want. What I do for the exits, I put in conflict, red. So that means if there is an external constraint, um, in our case there will be no external constraint. But if you have a network of roundabouts, it can be. So if there is a blocking back, with these vehicles will not drive through a queuing traffic here, blocking back the intersection. Okay, so that's fine. And let's do the priority rules. So there is another video in which I go through. Oh, hang on. Connector is missing there. So let's start here. So we place one stop line and then we place one here to check for gaps. The distance is the same. I try to have the same. So I try the stop line distance from the conflict point and this one, I try to do it to the same. So here the default is 3, but I think around 2728 is probably better in most of the cases. And you put 0 and you leave the speed at max. So now you have that. So this will check for vehicles for gaps. If there is a blocking back, so there is no gap, you want to place a conflict there, minimum gap time 0, and speed is relatively low, I don't know, maybe 20k or 15. You need to check the model run and your vehicle setup, which one works better. Around 10-20 is a good rule of thumb. And now you see that I placed it incorrectly because you have another triangle, so I move it back until it goes away. Yeah, like that. Here I think I can reduce it to 4 to make this. So basically what it does, if there is a queue in this lane, this vehicle will wait until this area is clear. Now, you also need a similar one for trucks or heavies and buses as well. It doesn't matter. Here, you just reduce the gap time to 0. So, on the right side is vehicle driving in the roundabout. On the left side, vehicle driving onto the roundabout or into the roundabout in this lane. Yeah. So since here we select HGVs, that means we check for HGVs inside the roundabout. So if a HGV is here and it is a long one, we don't want to hit the trailer or the back of the truck. Okay, now we go to the showing list and we are duplicating this one. We are removing all these two and we only leave the one here for gap time. And here when you click on it, I deselect all vehicle type. I only put heavies. If you also have buses, you tick buses too. And here you put a bit more, maybe 3.7. That means if a truck is coming from here, we'll try to look for a bigger gap than 2.2. It will look a gap of 3.7. And these two should be overlapping on position identically. Now here, I place a stop and we only do this gap. So, sorry, we don't only do this one, but we do this gap first. So basically we just do what we did before. So this is for gaps. This is for clearance. So headway or clearance and maximum speed is lower. Then we do one for heavies, like that. And we do one for trucks. It didn't multiply it. Okay, sorry. Yeah, didn't duplicate it. So now it is only for HGVs. We don't need this. We don't need that. We only need this. But this one needs to be more. No, that's fine. Here, so it is a bit different. So we only have one lane. So here what I try to do, I try to make this link a bit longer, move the connectors to the end, and I will place the priority rule on the link. So both connector will, so the traffic on both connector will share the same one. So first here, gap. Actually, I was wrong. It is better in this case if we actually apply a separate one on each connector. So to move an overlapping links, you hold, you keep your left button down and you keep pushing tab. So we put this priority rule onto this small connector. The reason for that is if you go into this lane, you are not going to give way to this traffic in this case because it is physically separated so they can't change lane. So you don't take into account those ones and you would take them into account if it is not a turbo roundabout. Like that. Okay, so we check for headways. Excuse me. Um, so it is 0, this is 15, and maybe 4 meters. And we do the same. So if you hold on control and the right button, you don't let the right button and the control off, and you can just move it where you want and then you release it where you want it to be. So this is gonna be your heavy and no gap, headway and big speed. Okay, and now we duplicate it. And we don't want this, we don't want this. We only keep that gap, 3.7. Okay, let's do the last one on this. I just drag it back. So now we check for gaps on this one. 2.7. And the next one is, excuse me, the next one is the clearance. So that is a 0, that is a 15, and that is a 4. We don't need that long. And then we have one for the heavy. So that is 0, 4. And we also need to have a gap check here. 2.70. We also need to check for clearance here. Around 0, 5, 15. And we also need to check for HGVs. So we don't crush into the end of the HGVs. And now we duplicate it. So let's just remove all of these. So here I made a mistake before, not a mistake really, but what I try to show is this one. For the for the priority rule on this connector, and this gap can be shorter than 2.7. So this one can be less, maybe 2 or even 1.8, because here they don't join that, they don't need to accelerate up to meet this vehicle speed, so they can just cut through that lane. So they require less gap. So probably around 2 or a shorter or a smaller value is more realistic. Okay, so here for trucks, I put it to truck, and the gap here, maybe make it 3, so it's just a bit less. And now we create a gap here as well. Let's make it 4 or 3.7. I don't know which one will work better. You just need to run it once or do your observations and see how it goes. Okay. I might miss something out, but when you run the model, you will see if something is missing or not. So here, stop, gap. Probably now you know it better than I do after all the practice. So it's 2.7. We check for gaps. 0, small speed. We check for trucks. 0. And we don't need to check for anything here. Okay, so now duplicate it. This is gonna be for HGVs only. And we only keep the gap marker. Okay, now we do it here. So we put one for gaps, 2.7, 2.7, 0. This is for clearance, so it is 0. I think 6 is better here because it's a longer merge. Well, maybe it's too much, but it's okay. Heavies, or sorry, long vehicles. And we duplicate it to have a gap. I remove those, only leave the gap. HGV, increase it. Okay. And at last but not least, basically we just copy paste that situation. Unfortunately, we can't really copy paste it, but let's do it here. Gap. this is for clearance. And trucks or long vehicles, that's more accurate to say. And we don't take into account anyone on here on that far side lane. And that's it. Now we duplicate it, increase the gap, just like that. And now we create a new stop line on this. We put a small gap, maybe 2. We put for clearance 15. We put for trucks. We put for gap. We can try to keep the same distance from the conflict. Maybe 2.7. We check for gaps, or not gaps, clearance. So that's 0, that's slow moving. Trucks. And that's it. Now we hang on. Previously I forgot to set it to trucks, this one. So truck. So now we duplicate this. It's easy to see which one belongs to where, and it should alternate. Same position but different setting. Okay. I just delete all of that so I know what is going on. Trucks. So I already have that gap there, so there's gonna be 3.7. And I create a new one here. Maybe 3. Best to be shorter. Alright. So we are done. Let's put some vehicle inputs and give it a ride. So vehicle inputs. There, 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 there. So let's do some vehicle routes. If you want to see the same setup with dynamic, just let me know. So I'm going to put it here because that's a busway. Here and here. From here we go there, there, there. From here, okay, that was a mistake. Go here, here, and there. And at last but not least, from there, there. Let's do a check. We don't do U-turns in this case. But if we want, we can just add one U-turn maybe to the system. There. So now, let's see what is going on. What did we miss? What we didn't miss? Okay, let's just zoom in a bit and see what's going on. It looks all right. Let's just see, maybe something naughty is going on. If you hold down space, it will slow down the simulation. No, it looks all right. Again, if I miss something, it's possible. That's why it's good to observe the run. And if you see that some vehicle should give a bit more less aggressive, you can just increase those gap times. Okay, what I can do, I think I just increase vehicle the vehicle input a bit. So let me just show you a trick. So that is maybe 500. What we can do, if you select all, equal times 2, you can immediately factor up your flows. Okay, so let's see now. We should have much more conflicts. Haha, that was something very naughty. Like here. Maybe the gap time wasn't enough. Let's just wait until it happens again. I don't know what happened there then. Maybe I just need to increase the... Probably the 2.7 is a bit low. So maybe the 2.7 can be 3.7. So if I select all of these, just some tricks while we are here. So if you want to do such, so if you select all of them, then you list all your conflicts here. And here you can just ascend and you can just increase these. So if you select them, you can just put maybe 3 here and maybe put 2.5 here. Yeah, so just some tips and tricks. Because our speed is set to quite, yeah, it works better, I think. So basically this is what you do. So you set it up and then you observe, and if you see something naughty, you just increase or change the speeds or change the settings. So I hope you found this helpful. I saved this model. Just let me know if you want to see it with dynamic or with matrices or with anything else. Yeah, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. That would help the channel. And also, if you want to support the channel, you can do that on my Patreon channel. You can have the link checked out at the description. Thanks a lot. See ya.